Well, fellas, I feel like I owe you an apology for kind of falling off the grid, but you ain't getting one. Truth be told, I've been the recipient of a massive shitstorm, and I'm not projecting my personal problems onto you guys. It's all project related stuff. So we'll go over some of that, and there's some good stuff too, which I'll also go over. And then at the end, probably, if I don't forget, we'll cover the contest Dutch bucket system, because I know those guys want to see what's going on with their plants. What? Alright, I don't think you guys have seen this yet, but I have a tent behind me. And if I was single and cool, I'd be like, it's where I get all my extracurricular pussy. But that's not really the case. Actually, that's where I go when my wife's decided that I've been too much of an idiot that day and I come home and find myself locked out. But I got a fan and shit. It's not that bad. Been in worse situations. Speaking of chicks, picking chicks up. This applies everywhere, across the board. If you're going out and some chick's like, oh, you know, what do you do? What do you do with your free time? Or what do you do for a job or whatever? The cool answer is, oh, you know, I'm independently wealthy or sort of semi-retired. And basically you're saying you got tons of time on your hands, tons of money, and you're looking to get played hard. What you don't want to say is, oh, well, you know, I got this aquaponics thing, and I have fish, and they swim around, and then they shit, and the vegetables, boy, they really love fish shit. They just really enjoy that. And you get all passionate, and at some point during your exciting rant, the chick will say, oh, so it's like hydroponics, and you'll be like, no, I mean, I do that too, but that's totally different. This is way more high speed, and it's aquaponics, you know, and you probably never heard about it, and it's this new thing, and you're trying to make it so hard to make it sound cool, and by the time you're done, she's looking at her friend like, get me the fuck out of this dude is gonna rape me. He is so aggressive. He's so worked up about fish and vegetables. When all you had to say was, oh, you know, I just kind of hang out, I'm not really doing shit, and I like to golf. Do you like to golf? She'll be like, yeah, I like to golf. And she's like, can you buy me another drink? And you'll be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And no voices were raised, no one got uncomfortable or awkward, and broke a sweat in the heat of the moment. And you know, you may live to fight another day with that other party of the opposite sex, maybe, or same sex, or you know, whatever. So just food for thought. The only place that's going to work is maybe an aquaponics seminar, which I've never been to, and obviously I probably need to go to one to learn how to do aquaponics. But that's the only place where it's going to work, and you'll be hitting on the one chick. Like there might be two chicks, but the other chick will be the chick that you're hitting on. It'll be her mom, right? So you're not going to hit on her. She's probably old and maybe fat. But the one chick, you know, you just kind of slide up on it and be like, hey girl, let me get up in that biofilm. I'll cover the negative shit first. Basically, a few weeks ago, it started with the vegetables. The vegetables in the towers, they just weren't doing well. It was obviously, my first indication was there must be some kind of massive nutrient deficiency, and there was. It was potassium. So we addressed that. And it was literally a 48-hour turnaround, all this new root growth, because what happened is I was preoccupied doing other things, usually just hung over and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're walking by the plant a few weeks later and it's the same size, that maybe even smaller than it was before, and you start scratching your head and wondering what's going on, and then trying to troubleshoot it. And of course, that's one of the frustrations of this kind of stuff, is nothing happens in 1 day or 2 days. It's a small mistake is going to cost you a week minimum, you know. So in any case, supplemented the potassium, and immediately the plants responded, and new root growth. And then a couple of weeks later, after continued supplementation and blah blah blah, there was obviously still a problem. So the problem as it stands now is I've got a severe case of root rot. A fungal is probably Pythium, something to that effect. So we'll start treating that and attempt to find a solution to that problem. But that's where everything started to go south. So from there, I had neighbors grazing their cows in the land over here, and the cows stepped on my main water line and cracked it because it wasn't buried deep enough. It never is. And they cracked the water line, and I didn't know it, and so my water bill was like $300 when it was all said and done, before I knew there was a problem. And that's really high here. My normal water bill is about $30, to give you an idea. What else? The neighbors cut down a tree, different neighbors, not the cow neighbors, and it fell onto my concrete power line pole and cracked it, and so my power lines were laying in the dirt. Again, nobody bothers to come over here and be like, hey idiot, I just knocked down your power line. And I could have said, oh okay, well at least I know and I can fix it. But I noticed one day that my power lines were, you know, laying on the ground, planted into the earth and that, and they were cool about it. You know, they got somebody out here and got it fixed. But if the power line had broke, or if it had rained and blew out the grid or whatever, it would have been a bad situation. But nothing too bad came out of that. All right, so the insects have continued to be a tremendous problem, but I now have insect nets. I'll show you that shortly. The biggest, most frustrating, catastrophic loss was I lost 1,000 fish. I got the new biofilter installed. You guys knew that was in progress. It's done. It's loaded with media, and it's performing very well. But when I redid the plumbing from the old biofilters into the new biofilter, I slept here for 5 nights. I stayed here for 5 days and 5 nights to monitor everything, because anytime I change water flow, I know that there's a good possibility that I'm going to make a mistake, and I want to keep a close eye on it, because sometimes things get funky and they take a long time to try to assure you that there's a potential problem. Well, on the 6th night I went home, everything was working fine, no issues, and slept in my own bed, and came back the next morning, and the sump had gone dry, and the first 2 tanks were not getting any fresh water, and the fish were all dead. And for 3 days after that, I convinced myself that I made a mistake. It was my fault, no excuse, accept responsibility. But upon further investigation, and these signs were already there, I just didn't really want to accept them, because when I found out the truth, it didn't make me feel any better. But there was a little neighbor kid that lives over there, and he used to walk through here about 4 times a day like he owned the place. I didn't really care. I pick and choose my battles, you know what I mean? Not that big of a deal. But what had happened was he showed up here that night of the 6th night and made it his personal playground, and was throwing shit in the sump tank and feeding the fish, and he pulled my standpipe controlling the water flow. All it would have taken is 1 inch. If he pulled it 1 inch, it would have created a leak elsewhere in the system, and it did. And so water started leaking elsewhere in the system, which slowly over time the sump went dry because the system was losing water, and those fish were poisoned because he threw about 1 kilo of food on top of each tank. Somehow, miraculously, the second set of fish, of 1,000 fish, were not affected, and I believe that's because he didn't feed those fish voluminous amounts of food, and they weren't poisoned. They were able to make it 8 hours. They still had oxygen, they just didn't have fresh water. So if that food hadn't been put in there, I think at least some of the fish probably would have pulled through. But in this instance, I think I found 3 fish that were still alive. 3 fish out of 1,000. So that was a hard hit to take, psychologically, emotionally, financially. It was very frustrating. It wasn't malicious, just kid being a kid, you know. And I've been there. I've done that stupid shit, and I have cost people time and energy and money. The difference was I always had to sort of answer for that, I think. In any case, I haven't seen him since then, so I'm pretty sure he knows that he is, and I have no proof. I have no proof, and I'm not saying without a certain doubt that it was him. But all signs sort of point to him. It doesn't matter. I'm not seeking vengeance or anything. What's done is done. Okay, so in response to that issue, I had to put up chain link fence. So I think you can see some of that over here. I put chain link fence with big gates and all that good stuff all around the fish house, and the insect net is completed on the greenhouse. So obviously it's not going to really stop anybody, because you could just cut your way inside or climb over the fence or whatever, but it'll at least keep the kids out, and that seems to be the current problem, or was. So I'm not going to get into the root rot issue, guys, because I still don't know exactly what's going on. Once I figure out without a reason of a doubt that that's what's going on, I'll come back and revisit that. I don't want to present a problem to you without a solution. That's pretty much it. So we'll go and look at the contest. Well, I'll give you a look at the insect net, and then we'll look at the contest buckets, and that'll wrap it up. Alright, so as you can see, it's just insect net, guys. Like, I don't know how excited you can get about this, but now the fish house is secured with the fence, and then you can enter the greenhouse from both ends. There's a door on the other end as well. The guys who did it for me had absolutely no experience in installing this stuff, and they did a really, really good job. They got everything buttoned up really nice and tight. So this stuff is, I don't even remember how many holes. I think it's 24 or 32 holes per inch or whatever they call it. But it's not going to keep out thrips or anything like that. I didn't want to go that small. I would have stopped all airflow. But it'll definitely help with caterpillars, the leaf miners, and the major problematic things that was wreaking havoc, primarily on the basil. I got a ton of worms in my eggplants, things like that. And this will mitigate. Once I get the life cycles under control that are already existing in there, this will mitigate further issues. So pretty happy with it. All in all, it wasn't that expensive, to be honest. I think it cost me, with labor and materials, I overbought the net, but I can resell that. So I'm gonna call it about $1,200 all in. And I should have done this a long time ago. I was silly enough to think I could get away without it. So well worth the investment, considering what I've got into the project anyways. It was kind of silly for me to ignore insect net. So I do have proper rails and zigzag wire, and this is proper UV resistant insect net made for greenhouses. We just had to sort of modify a few areas, because the roof is not really a perfect structure in terms of a hoop house or anything like that. So there was some additional expense. If this was a perfect sort of greenhouse orientated roof or structure, it would have been much easier to net in. There was a lot of customization that went into getting this all sealed up. But I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and it's kind of what we've been up to. Alright, so for you, those of you who don't know what's going on here, this was a subscriber contest idea that I had. Probably one of the absolute worst ideas I've ever had, where I thought it was going to be fun to have subscribers randomly select them for the most part, and use their growing methods, which I would implement, and then we'll see who can grow the biggest tomatoes. The tomato variety that we're growing here is called Big Zack. They're supposed to be potentially 2 to 3 kilos. That's 4 to 6 pounds. Massive, massive fruit. We'll see if that's true. I've never grown them before. So before we get into the plants, which I know these guys want to see and care about, I'm going to bust their balls a little bit. You kind of get, it's interesting because once you start corresponding, you get everybody's different personality, right? Some guys are like, just put it this, set it at this. You don't hear from them for weeks. It's awesome. They're just like, cool, looks good, you know, once in a while when I give them pictures or whatever. Very little modifications, very little changes. And then you got guys, and you know who you are, who sort of say, well, why would you do a nutrient change in 30 minutes when you can extend that across 3 or 4 days? Let's just drag this bad boy out, put a little bit on one day, a little bit the next day. And then you have guys that are just angry, like, you didn't do what I told you to do, I can see. And then I have to come back and be like, bro, I did what you asked me to do. It's just your plant's grown some more, and well, you missed a sucker. And I have to go back and be like, oh shit, I did miss a little sucker. And sorry about that, bro. And kind of pluck it off. So all in all, it's been fun. It just was the worst timing possible because this is very time consuming, and I take it very seriously because I promised these guys that I would do the best I could to maintain their growing strategies, because we're all, there is no prize in this contest. The value that we all get is when I publish the results sort of the progress of the plant and how it did under certain different conditions, EC levels, pHs, things like that. But I'm just having a bit of fun. All in all, it's good. We're doing it. We did it. I'm stuck. I'm gonna stick it through. But it's very time consuming, and I do not recommend it. Do not recommend it. And it's funny because you get that. You also have that one guy that's kind of like, oh, hey Ryan. And anytime the first couple of sentences of the paragraph are like, oh, hey Ryan, how's it going? Ryan, I was wondering. You know he's about to ask for something stupid. Like he's going to ask for something that's going to take no less than 4 hours. I was wondering, I was wondering if you could ferment some potatoes and maybe foliar spray the plant with potato juice. And in that situation, I'm just, no, bro, sorry, I can't do it. Because I still have a lot going on that I have to take care of too. So, and the other part of the contest was that if one person makes a special request that wasn't specifically covered, I have to open it up to the other contestants. So as soon as one guy's doing it, the other guy's like, oh, fuck, I need to do that shit too. But I don't want fermented potatoes, I want prunes. I want fucking prune juice on my shit. Next thing you know, I'm running to the store trying to find prune juice. Horrible, horrible. So I've limited most of those factors, and they've all been really cool about it, because I know some guys like to get a little bit more creative, and they've sort of bared with me. But I have to wonder, would you guys do that at home? Like, would you really do that at home, or are you just saying, ah, fuck Ryan. Ryan will do it. Ryan will try it for me. So, I don't know. But all in all, it's pretty fun, and I do have a really good crew of guys, and a lot of them very loyal subscribers who I greatly appreciate. So we'll get into the plants. I'm going to do a run through. Most of you may not find this fascinating, but the guys that are involved directly need to see the close-ups of these plants. So that's what we're going to do. I will tell you whose plant it is, and just give a quick, see, I missed a sucker right here. Look at that. Shame on me. Shame on me. I'll give you just a quick synopsis of kind of what's going on with the plant, what I've seen. And I'm not going to give out EC levels or any specifics or anything like that. I might say this guy's a little higher than average and this guy's a little lower, but the growers that are involved, they know what's up. So without further ado, all right, plants number 1. This is Column's Aquaponics. Column, you have, and all these tomatoes have ridiculous fruit trusses on them. They're just, I mean, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This thing has 10 blossoms on one fruit truss. The second fruit truss has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the third has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you actually have 4 fruit trusses in total on this plant. The fourth one is not done developing yet, but it does have a couple of open blossoms. If you want some of these lower leaves trimmed off, let me know. We'll take care of that. And both of your plants are about even. And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so the plant on the right side here has 3 developed fruit trusses. No, I'm sorry, 1, 2, yeah, 3 developed fruit trusses, and the fourth is still in progress. Okay. Luke, your plants, as you know, were kind of set back a little bit, and I think you know why. But they're still going. They're still going. I will say that I do believe your water timings are affecting the growth, and I do believe they're not demonstrating stress, but I think it's affecting the growth. So your plant on the left side here, this is a very weak fruit truss. It's only got 2 blossoms, and I'd be very surprised. You might get a fruit there. Your second truss is got 4 blossoms, and your third is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blossoms. Your fourth is under development. Your second plant here has 1 poor fruit truss right here. I would recommend increasing your waterings because it's just too damn hot out here for what you've got currently running, but that is on you. I'm speaking freely right now because all contestants can hear and see what I'm saying, and there's nothing private about this. Mr. Cowart, I did your nutrient change today that you just requested. Your first blossom has got 2 flowers. Your second is very healthy with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And your third is 1, 2, 3, well, there'll be a lot on that third one, but it's still under development. Overall, they're pretty healthy. These lower fruit trusses are not looking phenomenal, buddy, but the middle ones and the top ones are looking a lot better. Yeah. So there's your top fruit truss, there's your middle fruit truss, and there's your first fruit truss. Totterdale, you have 3 blossoms which may set fruit on the first truss. Your second truss is up here. I will remove this sucker off this truss later, or maybe now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blossoms on that second truss. Your third truss is tremendously massive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 flowers on your third truss, and your fourth truss is still developing with a couple of mature flowers. Plant number 2, same thing. Fruit truss flower truss 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 flowers, and I think you will get some fruit set there. The second truss is not as strong with only 3 flowers, and your third one on the second plant is still developing. There you go. Hydro Swift Rob. Hydro Swift Rob has the most advanced fruit currently. Let me give you a look at your fruit shots here. You've got 1, 2, and that third one, I don't know if he's going to pop a fruit or not for sure. Your second truss is, God, I don't know about this lighting, but I'm doing the best I can here. You definitely have a fruit here, and I would highly anticipate you getting other fruits as well. The flower fruit stage takes a long time. These blossoms, as you can see, are huge. Huge, huge, huge. So this is your first fruit truss on the second plant, your second fruit truss on the second plant, and your third. I'm just going to say, your plants absolutely look phenomenal. Whether that's genetics or your growing method, I don't know for sure. But all the plants were randomly selected for each person. I didn't hand select them. I randomly selected what was available. And you got very, very good plants to begin with. And I'm not saying that to take away from your growing method, because I think it's very, very intelligent as well. But your plants as of now are hands down outperforming everything else. But they had a jump start because they were badass to begin with. So that is kind of that. So I will say, I can't really see a major difference. I mean, if we look at the plants across the board, and these growing methods are drastically different. There's no one that's like really way far ahead or way far behind based on EC or pH levels or anything like that. Everyone's running the same oxygen. Of course, water timings do come into play a little bit, maybe too, on development. And Rob, we had a conversation the other day. If you want me to, I did cut your first leaves off, but if you want more cut, just let me know, and I'll kind of give you a visual here of where you're at. We are starting to get some leaf curl, guys. A lot of that's because of the heat. It is getting very hot out, and so that's got a lot to do with it. Just a quick scan of the greenhouse. The towers are down there. I got a lot of different tomatoes going, a lot of bell peppers, eggplants over here, and the stripped away stuff. It's like a jungle in there. Big beef over there. Big beef just kind of doing what they do. I've got a variety called Rapunzel. They're supposed to have really long fruit trusses. I'm not that overly impressed, but decent fruit anyways, and they're still setting lots of fruit in the heat. These are a brand new wine hybrid that's crossed with, I'm not going to be able to remember right now, but I have a couple of different brand new wine hybrids that have been crossed with other things. They're all heirlooms which have been crossed to increase production, yield, fruit set, and just general combatants against deformities and disease. So, and of course everything right now needs to be sort of heat tolerant because it's getting warm. Next month will be even warmer, and we won't start seeing the weather cooling down for about another 3 or 4 months till we hit the rain, and then we get to deal with the humidity and everything else. Okay, fellas, let's go about wrap it up today. I want to close with one point. I personally, before I made this system, I used to get really butthurt when I would email somebody or contact somebody, whether it was Facebook, YouTube, email, whatever, that had a system that was big or bigger than mine, that I wanted to ask questions, and I wouldn't get a response. I used to get butthurt about that. Now that I'm really super busy and I don't have a lot of free time, I understand. I understand. If you had any idea the number of questions, visit requests that I get sent to me, it's literally, I cannot keep up. I cannot keep up. And the visits are what I turn down the most. Hey, I want to come out. I like aquaponics. What is aquaponics? Can I see your aquaponics? Well, no, I'm sorry. I can't do it. If it's a paying customer that's local that wants to see where their food's coming from, it's a different story, of course. If it's somebody that's coming from out of town that wants just to looky-loo around, and what you need to understand is when I have a visitor, this is what happens. Operations cease to exist. I do the bare minimum. I'm anticipating a visit. I try to clean things up, make them look nice. This is a working operation. So that is why most of the time I have to turn down visitors, because it's very time consuming. Oftentimes I have to go out and meet them and bring them here. And even the email requests, hey, you know, I'm going to build a system, do you have any tips? Well, yeah, I got 1,500 tips. I got 1,500 mistakes that I made that I would love to prevent you from making, but I don't have the time to type them all out. I just don't have the time. So I just want to let you know that when you approach somebody, local or otherwise, and you're trying to get in to see their facility and see what they're doing and see how they're doing it, not in a shady way, but you just kind of want to learn, approach them about their product. That would be my tip. Say, hi, I'm interested in your produce. I want to come and buy some. And you're going to get a much more positive response from that person. If you're approaching a professional, I am not a professional, do not approach me. If you are approaching a professional, you had better be prepared to pay for their time. Don't assume that everyone is going to just, out of the kindness of their heart, stop what they're doing and give you all the tips that they've learned the hard way. And I'm saying that because there's a few people that I've emailed that are pretty well known that didn't give me the time of day, and in most of those instances I even said, I assure you, I promise you I can make it worth your time, and even still didn't get an email. So that tells me, one, they're busy, two, they're not hurting for cash because they're doing well, or well enough, because they weren't chasing, you know, the $1, $2, $3, $4, $500 that I was prepared to give them for the consultation per se. So just something to think about, guys, food for thought. When I had a little system at home and the occasional guy would email me and say, hey, you know, I want to come see your shit. Yeah, come on down. I'm doing anything. I'm drinking beer and feeding these nasty ass catfish or whatever I've got in there, and come on by whenever, no problem. I'll be here all day. It's not like that anymore. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of I mean, even moving produce, it's a veggie prep, and if you're making pesto and vinaigrettes and all that stuff to go with your salads, it's very time consuming. My morning was spent making pesto and vinaigrette, and Sunday morning will be spent putting the fresh salads together to accompany those products. It's very time consuming, and for a one-man operation, this is not a one-man operation. I was foolish to think I could do this on my own. I just can't justify the labor, and I just keep telling myself, well, you've got to work more hours, you've got to work harder to make it work. And with going into this with a hobby mentality, it's good in a way because it keeps me out of trouble. It does, and it'll keep you out of trouble too. But it's a lot of work, guys. It's not, you can try to automate things as much as possible, but the biggest tip that I'll give anybody, if you're going to build a system, prepare for the absolute unexpected, financially, physically, emotionally, mentally. Prepare for the unexpected. All right, just a quick point, that's all. If you want to help me, share the video, promote the channel. Help me promote the channel, help me grow the channel. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. So I will do my darndest to make sure that I stay on top of the videos. I really like doing the videos. I really like, and leave me a fucking comment, guys. Okay, I appreciate it, and I will do my best on this video to respond to all the comments, because I've been pretty shitty about that lately. But I do appreciate the comments. Just say fuck you, that's cool too. Just say something. Let me know you watched the vid, you liked it, you didn't like it. That's important. I need that feedback. Okay, I have a I'm very insecure, I'm very needy, so if you can just let me know that I exist in your mind, I would like that. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.